Okay, so I reached out to LaDonna Cesar. I think that's how you say her last name. Anyway, at the night under the stars, I'm gonna read a. I'm sorry, I should have prefaced that. I'm gonna read a comment she wrote on the latest video, so I'm gonna read that right now. Donna wrote 17 hours ago, as of right now. At the night under the stars, Kathy told me that every time her husband Chuck got a new job, she had to assume his role. I laughed and she replied, quote, I'm not kidding. Then Kathy elaborated, quote, when Chuck became sheriff, I became sheriff. When Chuck became police chief, I became police chief. I have to be an expert, unquote. Chuck was running for judge at the time, and Kathy told me that if Chuck was elected, she would have to become the judge. And she didn't know if she wanted to be a judge. Okay, that's the comment. It's on YouTube. We have taken that comment and, harvested it for all this stuff that's going on with Richard Montbleu. Anyway, so now I'm going to call LaDonna because she reached out through the email, and we're going to talk to her and see what's going on about that, just to document it. Here we go. Okay.
This is LaDonna.
Hey, LaDonna, it's Jonathan. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm like sitting here going, wow, look at all the crazy stuff that's popping off. I'm doing all right though. I'm really glad right now everything's where it's at and that Richard is safe and all this everything's starting to kind of come out in the wash here a little bit. Anyway, hey LaDonna, so before we get started, I just told everyone everything that I'm doing here is I'm recording and keeping statements from people that have, just given us information. We're just trying to piece together an overall bird's eye view of seeing the entire situation. And it's turned out to be just phenomenal, just being able to see all these different things that were in play at the time. So anyway, I read your comment, and that's why I'm calling you. So you understand it's okay with you for me to record this call?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now, anyway, just let's get into real quick. In A Night Under the Stars, Kathy told me that every time her husband Chuck got a new job, she had to assume that role. You wrote, I laughed, and she replied, quote, I'm not kidding. Then Kathy elaborated, quote, when Chuck became sheriff, I became sheriff. When Chuck became police chief, I became police chief. I have to be the expert, unquote. So Chuck was running for the judge at the time, and Kathy told me that if Chuck was elected, she would have to become the judge, and she didn't know if she wanted to be the judge. Well, okay. So can you first of all, everybody, this is LaDonna. She's been following the ministry for a long time. Quite a while back, there was a situation where LaDonna had been keeping phone numbers and stuff, and some people had gotten a hold of the information, and I was pretty upset because no one had kind of cleared it with me, and people were breaking through to my email, and so that happened. Yes, LaDonna?
Yes.
And you just received your correction, and we just moved on. Does that sound about right?
That's correct.
All right, cool. So anyway, all right, well, let's just talk about this and let's just, just whatever you want to say about it, just so we have an understanding of Kathy's, psyche. I mean, that's a weird thing to tell somebody.
Right. I thought so too. And I thought she was kidding. And, when she elaborated, I realized she was not kidding.
Wow.
And I've thought about that on and off, and thought how curious that was. And so when I saw the video where you said Kathy put her hand in front of Chuck's face and said, you stop talking until I'm talking, it reminded me of what she said to me.
Yeah. So Corey, come here. Corey and Zach are here with me. So you heard what LaDonna said, right?
Yep.
So you were sitting right there.
Yep.
Yeah, we were so appalled. I mean, I was gonna say something, but it was so awkward because so many people were sitting around, and Chuck was very quiet, and so he finally started saying something, and we're like, oh, he's gonna, jump in the conversation a little bit because he had been so quiet, and then Corey, what did you do? Kathy?
Yeah. So I believe, if I remember correctly, Chuck started to talk, and Kathy put her hand right up into Chuck's, basically right in his face, and it took me back. I was just like, wow. Yeah, because Jonathan's right. Chuck was like, it was a big Thanksgiving deal, and the room was filled full of people, and we were all having a good time and just talking, and then all of a sudden that happened, and I was like really taken aback by it.
It was so weird because when she did it, she just put her hand like, like a policeman at a four-way stop holding his arm out, with his, like stopping a car.
Hmm.
Looks like you're holding the number 5 out in front of you. She put her hand out in front of Chuck and said, "I'm talking. When I'm done, you can talk."
Hmm.
And I almost rebuked her, but it was so weird. It was so uncomfortable because there's all these people. I was about to say, whoa, that is not at all biblical. That is not at all the way you treat, you don't, I mean, she treated him horribly in front of everybody by doing that. And it was so embarrassing. But then I thought, well, if I say, "Kathy, what the hell are you doing?" I was like, that'll just make it even more obvious and more weird. So I just tried to like, okay, let's, move on. I think we were laughing about Jack Lamb, and we had Dave had a little button you press, and it sounded like someone cut it a fart or something, and we were all giggling. But anyway, he started talking, and then she just shut him down, and we were appalled. It was appalling. So you think that when she was telling you this, I mean, you believe that that's really her attitude and true?
Yeah, in fact, because I was so in support of Aaron and Kathy and Jim and anything affiliated with that, because I thought they were helping people that were otherwise homeless.
Yes, that was the whole idea of the whole thing. Correct.
Right. So I thought they were part of the solution, part of the answer. So it took me a minute. Like, well, now do I have the wrong thoughts about how a marriage should be? Because that's not how I treat my husband. And maybe she is doing the right thing. For a moment I was like, wow, that's just
Yeah, but no, but the Bible says, "Wives, submit to your husbands." And see, one thing we know over here, because I was around Karen enough, which wasn't a whole lot, but I was around her enough to hear many times her say, "I listen to no man," and that, and Kathy as well. That is their kind of, "I listen to no man." And I know other people from through YouTube and like Michael Spear and some other people that said, "Oh yeah, she just is all about hating men and dominating, and like no man tells me what to do." And these words, "I listen to no man." That was something I heard Karen say repetitively, and I just thought, well, wait a minute, Jesus is a man. The Lord sent me over to lay hands on you, and you got, well, I'm a man, And so when she would say it, I would be like, okay, maybe that's just like a family weird thing going on. So anyway, but so you believe that when she was telling you that, she was absolutely in earnest about what she said?
Oh yeah, very serious.
Okay.
Because I wanted to receive it as a joke, because they
Right.
around a lot. And so I was receiving it as a joke, but as she elaborated, she was very serious and, talking about the volume of work at being a judge, and could she take that on?
What?
She just didn't know. Yeah.
What? Okay. Okay. Can you just elaborate? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it wasn't a long conversation, but
Right.
she was just a little bit concerned about if, she wanted her husband to succeed, but she was a little bit concerned if he did get elected judge, what kind of work volume that meant for her.
Which should be zero.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a judge, you don't come home and have your wife help you with your stuff that's a judge, because you're supposed to be impartial with what you're doing. That is really, really fascinating. Okay, well, that's it. I just wanted to, make sure that as I read that comment, I wanted to understand the context. I wanted to understand, was she joking? But she wasn't joking.
No, she wasn't joking.
Absolutely not. All right, and also you were a supporter. Well, I mean, I was a huge supporter financially to the Ark. That's why, some of this stuff I think turned into such an explosive thing, because they were scared they were going to have to give money back, and other people wanted to file a class action lawsuit. But I was like, no, the purpose of the ark being there was served. There was a much deeper purpose to it. But you were also a contributor, correct?
Yes.
A very big.
Give it
Go ahead. How much did you contribute to the ark?
about $18,000.
Okay.
I started giving money to them. My husband and I started giving money to them in around May of 2021. In fact, I initially wanted to send it maybe to a PayPal account, but Jim and Karen set up an account with GiveSendGo.com.
Okay.
And told me to send it to that account because that was the direct account. And so beginning in about May of 2021, I would send $1,000 to $2,000 a month directly into.
Oh, wow! So you were a monthly support. Isn't that crazy? Because I was paying all their electrical, all the internet, all those bills. Alyssa knew it because I was giving the money, and then they were still asking the tenants for money, and I was like, why? I confronted them. Corey saw me confront. I said, why in the world are you guys asking everybody for money? I'm paying all your bills, giving you money on top of things. And that was an awkward conversation. So you were giving them a monthly check?
Yeah. Once or twice a month, I would give money.
Oh, wow.
To GiveSendGo.com. To Jim and Karen's account.
Okay.
$1,000 to $2,000 in total per month. And then, my husband on the night of
the get together at the night. Yep.
Yep. Of the gathering, Night Under the Stars. My husband actually wrote out. My husband's not even a follower.
Yep.
Of the ministry. He just came with me for the trip there.
Right. I met him. He was a super, super sweet guy. Yeah, your husband. I met him, and I know he's Catholic, right? He was Catholic, right? Or no?
He's Catholic.
Yeah, well, so for a person that's Catholic to be there, because I'm showing the Vatican's a snake and all this horrible stuff that's inside the Vatican, he was one of the kindest people. He was just full of smiles and very kind, I remember.
Yeah, and the event was actually helpful to us because he knows I follow somebody who's exposing the Catholic Church.
Right.
He's at odds with, but he liked you. He liked the people. So,
I see. And so that night, you were going to say something before we went off on a little bit of a tangent. That night he what?
He hand delivered a check he wrote to Jim and Karen. He hand delivered it to Jim, I think, or both of them. But it was a check for $5,000 that night.
Wow. Wow. See, Jim and Karen tried to keep me in the dark about other monies they were receiving, so I would continue to give them the kind of money I was giving them. Yeah. But anyway, where does our other eye go? To the stars. So praise God. That's why it's on the ceiling of the Vatican, and that's why the floor of the Vatican is the eye of a serpent. One's an angel, one's a serpent. What a fascinating thing going on here, right? This is all so well, listen, so go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I also sent them hundreds of dollars in supplies because Jim and Karen listed on their website supplies the ARC could use. So several times I packaged up, supplies like first aid supplies, flashlights, radios, shelf-stable foods, gas masks.
Oh, wow. So wait a minute. Hang on. So on their list of supplies they needed were gas masks?
No, I don't think that was on their list, but, it's just
I got you.
Prepping as well. So anything I thought they could use.
I got you.
Was on the list.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I left my number open for you to call if you need anything comes to mind, anything you want to add to this. I'm going to take this, make it part of the folder. I'm being as transparent as I can and everything for the public and for everyone just to know what the relationships were. So you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, God bless you and give your husband a hug for me.
Okay, I sure will.
All right. God bless you. Thank you so much, LaDonna.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye. What a nice lady. Wow. She was giving them a monthly See, it just reeks. This thing just reeks. Uh-huh. Okay, that's it. We're going to wrap up this recording, LaDonna.